Bowling product prices are about to increase. Let's talk about the tariffs, how they affect the sport of bowling, and what you can do to prepare in case these tariffs stay in effect and then bowling products do end up increasing in price. Quick little start. This video will not be political in any way, shape, or form. We're going to discuss the tariffs, how they affect bowling, but we're not getting into any politics, so please keep politics out of the comments below. We're going to talk about everything tariff related. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't. Make sure to like the video if you haven't, and drop a comment with your thoughts, but let's get right into it. As many people in the US know, there have been some really big tariffs that have been put onto other countries, specifically China. We are currently in a trade war with them where the United States has a 145% tariff on all Chinese products, and China has a 125% tariff on all US goods. Now, it's been a couple months and we haven't seen bowling products increase, but for a lot of people who didn't know, a lot of bowling products do come from China. So what are those products? How much should we expect them to increase if these tariffs stay in effect? And what should we do to prepare? So the first piece of information that we should be aware of is a lot of companies are actually canceling their orders of products that are made in China. So that's a lot of bags, shoes, and accessories. The orders have been canceled because of the instability of the market right now. So we are going to get into a COVID type situation where we are not able to get many bowling products. Shoes are the scariest part, bags also. So there's going to be a strong shortage of a lot of items that are coming from China because of just the pure instability right now. You might see some companies try to wait out the storm. Some companies might try to buy stuff in the near future if they see that demand is so high, but you might have to expect a shortage of a lot of these products very, very soon. But first, let's talk about bowling balls and what we should expect with their prices. Right now in bowling, most plastic bowling balls and entry-level bowling balls from almost every brand are made in China. So that includes all of the Storm Clear bowling balls, the Ice, the Storm Mix, all pyramid plastic balls, and also all of the new KR Strike Force plastic and entry-level bowling balls. All of those bowling balls are made in China and then shipped over to the United States. Now, this is a big issue because we have that massive percentage tariff increase. So we could expect bowling ball prices to increase by 40 to 60% for these plastic bowling balls. This is a huge, huge increase because a lot of these bowling balls are made very, very cheap, in all honesty. They are around $100, maybe a little bit less at times, and we're going to expect an increase. Now, I didn't mention Brunswick. We're going to get into them in just a second on what we should expect with their prices. Next up, let's talk bowling bags, bowling shoes, and accessories. So we are going to see an increase on these if companies decide to put in bulk orders for Chinese-made products. There just is not enough time to be able to make these items in the United States right now. And as I mentioned earlier, a lot of companies have actually canceled their Chinese orders. So we're going to be in an interesting spot where if they do make that purchase of buying a lot of the product that is in China right now, you're going to see an increase in price. This could be anywhere from 30 to 50% on all bags, all shoes, and all accessories. Nearly all bag, shoes, and accessories are currently made in China. And finally, this is the interesting one, is a lot of bowling ball materials are actually made overseas. So I have a list here. Bowling ball cover stocks are actually made in Germany and Japan and also the United States. Bowling ball core material is made in China, South Korea, India, and the United States. So those could also affect bowling ball prices, even from the domestic brands like Storm and like Motive. So those are all of the products that could potentially be impacted by these tariffs. Now, there was a couple brands I didn't mention in there. One of the most notable were the Brunswick brands. So currently, the big three bowling ball companies in the US are Storm Products International, Motive, and the brands of Brunswick. Storm Products and Motive are actually poured in the United States. Storm is in Utah, Motive is in Michigan. Brunswick, they have a plant in Michigan. However, all of their bowling balls, all of their products are created in Mexico. Now, Mexico was not left out of the tariffs, as anyone who follows the news has seen. They were also slapped with a tariff. However, Brunswick's in kind of a weird situation where there is a deal between US and Mexico. It is called the USMCA. So it is a way that Brunswick actually avoids tariffs. Now, that is the news I have right now. That can always change. But it looks like Brunswick could potentially avoid these if all of their materials come from North America. If the materials are not from North America that they use in the bowling balls, you're going to see a tariff. You're going to see an increase. So that one's a very hairy situation. Brunswick might be fairly safe, or they could get hit with a pretty big tariff. I don't have Mexico's numbers in front of me right now, but that could potentially affect them. Now, there is also another new player in the game, that is Swag Bowling. Swag Bowling products have been making bowling balls for years and years. Their bowling balls have always been poured and created in South Korea. So this is very interesting because South Korea also got hit with a tariff. Now, it is only 10% until early July, but then it bumps up to 25%. And all Swag bowling balls are going to be impacted by this because that 10% is still a good amount. Those bowling balls are selling for 130, 140, 200. They're in a good amount, normal bowling ball price, but we're going to see a 10% tariff on them and then 25% over the summer. Now, did that impact why Swag has not come out with new bowling balls in 3 months? I honestly have no idea. That's pure speculation. There's no fact in that, but it is a little bit interesting that Swag products are poured overseas and we have not heard of any new bowling balls lately. So these are all of the facts for what you should expect for bowling ball prices, what you should expect for bowling bag prices, for shoe prices. What should you now do as a bowler to prepare? So I mentioned it earlier in the video, and that's the main point I want to get across is we are going to see a shortage of bags, shoes, and accessories. Our pro shop has already purchased a lot of shoes and a lot of bags in preparation for this, as did a lot of other pro shops in the United States. So if you need bags, you need shoes, you need accessories, I'd recommend purchasing them sooner rather than later. Don't wait until early summer, middle of summer. There might not be many left, or you're going to see that massive price hike. Now, for bowling balls, it's a little bit different. There is no word yet that the main brands are going to increase their prices. There has been no trend. I've looked all over the last hour or so to try to see if prices have increased anywhere in any way, shape, or form. They have not. So as of right now, early April, mid-April, they have not increased. Now, will that change in May when the tariffs are more in effect? I don't know. We're not positive, but I'd keep a strong eye on the bowling ball market. And if you want to wait out the tariffs, you could wait until next league season to purchase stuff. Otherwise, I'd recommend purchasing any bowling balls, anything else earlier rather than later. Bowling prices and the bowling world might shift in a really big way due to these tariffs. So make sure you're shopping smart. Make sure you're going to the right places. I'd recommend working with your local pro shop. They are going to have your best interests in mind. Make sure to work through them. Some of the bigger industry companies online might not be the best ones to go through in this time. So I'd recommend talking with your local pro shop, making sure that prices stay okay. I'd try to get some product and then go from there. But let me know down below what you think of everything going on. Let me know what your thoughts are, what you're planning on doing. Otherwise, make sure to like and subscribe so that you can stay up to date on some of the newest and most up-to-date bowling news, bowling ball news, bowling news in general, anything like that. That is otherwise going to be it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you on the next one.